10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. The contents of this program may not be acceptable viewing for all members of the family. This program is about rape in the Aspen community. Through our research, we've discovered the extreme sensitivity of the subject. Some of the locals we talked to found it difficult to accept the fact that their once one-horse town could have such problems. We also spoke to people from larger cities, and they weren't very enthusiastic about accepting the fact that there could be a problem here either. The purpose of this program is to explore sexual assault and learn if Aspen is prepared to cope with the problem, frequent or infrequent. To gain better insight into the thinking of Aspen residents concerning rape, we interviewed people at random on the streets going about their daily activities. The first group we encountered were single male and female residents between the ages of 15 and 30. The first question we asked was, "Do you ever go out alone at night?"
Yes, all the time.
And under what circumstances, like, and where?
Well, anywhere, wherever I want to go. Are you asking if I'm afraid or if I hesitate about going out alone at night? Not anymore, not in Aspen. I don't. I'm aware that there have been rapes in Aspen, and I'm aware of the risk I'm taking, but I made the decision that I wasn't going to let that stand in my way, because I do a lot of things by myself, so I'm going to do it.
Not too often, but once in a while I will.
Yeah, a lot of times. But when I'm walking, you know, like if it's late, like 2 in the morning or something, and there's, you know, a guy walking alone my way, I'll just avoid it and walk another way. Or, you know, I just start jogging or something.
Sometimes, but not often.
My mom wouldn't let me.
The second question we asked was, has the thought of being raped in Aspen ever occurred to you?
Yeah, I lock the doors at my house, and whenever I go home, I was living over near, is it okay to say Silver King?
Yeah.
I was living over near Silver King, and down by the bridge, I've walked down that area on my way home 2 or 3 different times, and each time I've been really scared, and I usually end up running instead of walking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, in the parking lot over there, there's no lights, and it's really scary, so I just run from my car up to my house.
No, but I've known people that have been approached, so I'm aware of it and I walk quick.
Yeah, not as much here. When I used to live in the city, I did, but I never went out on the street alone there.
About 5 years ago in Aspen, I was very conscious when there were a lot of nomadic people coming through, and I was very conscious of the image I was presenting to them and the danger I was taking, because if they saw me out alone or if they saw me hitchhiking immediately, I thought that they would immediately think that I was loose. So I didn't do as much hitchhiking then. I hitchhike all the time. I've never had anything happen to me here or anywhere else.
Well, if I was a girl, I don't think I'd walk home too often, you know, late at night, 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, something like that. But I don't really hear too many cases myself. I've heard of just 2, and I don't really think it's a big problem in Aspen. But I haven't talked to a lot of girls either.
The second group we talked to were mothers raising families in the Aspen area. We asked them to discuss the possibility of rape.
My daughter sometimes babysits. She's 15, and I worry myself sick until she's home.
Is it about
Sometimes
rape
I go, well, you just never know. In my case, perhaps not. I think I've always had a sort of a foible. But when my daughter's out, I worry about something like that, because I've heard about unreported incidents here. And, I mean, I'll go and meet her. She can call me, and, you know, sometimes she has to walk home afterwards. I'll meet her, because I'm just a little bit leery.
As far as raising a family in Aspen, I've never considered rape, whether it be male rape or female rape, as a problem that we would have to deal with anywhere in our family in this town.
I
think I actually thought of it more when the kiddies were little, and that kind of tied into it. Somehow I guess I feel I could be mean enough alone, but if I had to worry about the kids, I might...
So you would worry about your kids going out alone around town?
Well, yeah, and it was when they were little and they were with me that I felt I would have been at that much more of a disadvantage, you know.
We feel it important to show the realities of sexual assault. After speaking to several Aspen residents who had been attacked, we found they were unwilling to speak publicly. Phyllis is a rape victim. Although she was not assaulted in Aspen, we feel she has real insight into the problem. Raped at the age of 16 and now 26, she is able to talk openly about it for the first time. We would like to thank Phyllis and hope that our audience may learn through her experience. We did experience audio difficulty with the interview, but felt the content warranted its use.
Anyway, it's been about 10 or 11 years now. I think I was a junior in high school or something. But did you see that Fred Skorosco thing? I think he was probably more help to me than anything, because it made me realize that I wasn't the only one that had been raped by someone I knew. You know? And that to me, and you go through all these really heavy trips about, but gee, I know them, you know. Was it really rape? Or whatever, you know, you question what happened, you go, I can't even believe this really even happened. It really pretty much damaged me mentally. I was really spaced out that for a long, long time, and all I could think, I would have nightmares about killing this guy, you know. I really hated him. I mean, it was horrible. When I got married, well, I'd say about when I was 19, almost 20, I'd say it had a whole lot to do with how bad our marriage went sexually. Well, I started hating men a lot because I didn't understand, because I thought somebody that I like surely couldn't do that to me, you know. And I started getting to the point of where I got married out of insecurity, and I felt like this man that I married wouldn't hurt me like that. He would never do that, but still it was hanging me up so badly that the thought of sex, I was thinking almost every time we'd go to bed together, it was like I was thinking of this guy forcing himself, and just, you know, all those absurdities that go through one's head. And I never could let go of it, you know, I never could work through it. It took, I don't know, I saw the guy, I would say, periodically, maybe every 3 years after that happened. And every time I'd see him, the first thing I would think of was how I could kill him. You know, and previously I probably would have, if somebody had asked me what punishments I felt were necessary for, or I felt were just for rapists, I would have been the first to vote on castration. It's been hanging me up for years. And it really shouldn't. I think probably what Skorosco was talking about was the best therapy for me, in that it was our own attitudes, our own moral convictions as to how badly or how easily we can pass off what happened, you know, or get through it. And forever I was always felt that I was the lowest piece of life on the earth, you know, because it had happened to me. And so I had gone through some therapies, and I'm not even real sure if I'd handled it too well during the therapies either. Apparently he was pretty aggressive with some other women too. I don't know that anyone else went through such a heavy head trip. I don't know, and when I think about him, I think about now, you know, I could pretty much forgive what happened, because I understand he's pretty deranged, and he's pretty lonely, and he's pretty sick.
To discover the sequence of events of reporting sexual assault in Aspen, we talked with Patrolman Robert Binawait of the Aspen Police Department.
When a girl comes into us in a rape situation, as Mike told you, what we're going to try and do first off is put her at ease. I think probably the most gruesome part of being raped, other than the rape itself, is having to go over it detail by detail for the police. And unfortunately, that's just exactly what we need. There are things that the rapist may have said to the girl, clues along that line. How he acted towards her, his demeanor, was he kind, aggravated? Was he both? He'll be aggravated and then kind, that sort of thing. We'll want a real good physical description of him. And in so much as she being that close to him, that's essential. His voice, how close, his eyes, the type of nose he had, that sort of thing. Things you don't expect the girl to recall in a state of horror and fright, she'll often recall if she can just be put at ease a little bit and to realize that that's the only way we're going to stop the guy. Fear, I think, is probably the biggest thing that's in her mind when we're interviewing a girl who's been a victim of a rape. She doesn't want to visualize the guy in her mind. She wants him out of her mind and as far away from her as she possibly can. Therefore, it's really important for us to coax that kind of information out of her and to make her realize how important it is that she give us this information so that another girl isn't subjected to the same thing. So along the lines of when she comes in and talks to me, I've been raped, that type of thing. Primarily, we now have a female officer with the police department, and hopefully we'll have two. And they would be brought in. We feel that, just that is probably the best thing, that she talked to a female, someone that might feel more sympathetic towards her. However, that's not always the case. There are girls that we found that would just rather talk to us, that need some type of a protective image there and now to let her know that everything's okay. Mm-hmm. So on the onset of the thing is that as soon as we can get her calmed down, to have her go over and tell us exactly what happened, how the situation presented itself. After that's completed, and as much as we could get out of her, should be taken to the hospital and let the doctors take over there. And it doesn't stop there. Generally, the girl will be recontacted, because like I say, if you can get her to settle down a bit, maybe over a period of time, that she's all we've got. And in rape situations, that it's just her and him.
So you're not overwhelmed with, do you have any sample forms? Is that the first thing you do, or
no,
just talking?
If we make it impersonal like that, and she's already been on a very impersonal level with the rapist, of somebody being very forceful with her, and it's a kind of a horrifying experience. I don't want to sit down and say, here, A, B, C, D, and E, fill this out. It's not, you don't go up to a woman, whose little boy or little girl has been just killed in an accident and say, well, how old was he, and this type of thing. You've got to get to them on the level they're at that time, and let her know that you're very sympathetic to what happened to her, and that you're really interested in getting hold of the guy and putting a stop to that sort of thing. I would be, if I was to put myself in her position as being the girl that had been raped, and probably, popping into her mind, where were you when I needed you, that type of thing. We've got to maintain her feelings that we're on her side, and if she feels that we failed her, then forms aren't going to help. So you need to, let her know. We just talk to her on a personal level and say, let us know what happened, let us help you, that type of thing. The forms and reports that can come later, when she's a little bit more receptive to them.
Okay, what are the first things that you would tell somebody if they were just coming in the emergency room with the police in a rape case?
Well, first of all, I greet at the door, and one thing is, when there is a rape case, we always have a nurse, no orderly, available to take the girl into the room and be with her.
What kind of forms? Any forms here? Or?
Yeah, we have a standard emergency room form that we have all patients fill out, so it's nothing, different for a rape victim.
What are some of the questions that you'd ask on that?
It's just basic, name, address, next of kin,
Would you do that right away, or does it depend on
No, what
the
we do
situation?
is we have a special room for the rape victim, and what we do is bring her right in there.
Okay, let's go on in. Good.
Back here.
We went to Aspen Valley Hospital and talked to emergency room nurse Pat Leonard. What about the fee? Do the police pay for it, or does the patient?
It's the patient's responsibility to pay for the fee. This gives a very private atmosphere, which I think is really important. What I do now is just, we take vital signs just to make sure that, her blood pressure is okay, and then this is the room where I'll get the information. But like I said, that comes, afterwards.
Is it just you and the patient, or are there other people?
No, it's just usually me or the patient, and sometimes the police will have someone in here, but it's usually, a policewoman. If
Would
it's going to
there be a police officer during the actual, the doctor and the patient?
He's never in the room. He might be outside waiting for information, but he's never in the room with the patient. Like I said, it's either the nurse or a policewoman. And then all I do really is just give emotional support, and we just wait for the doctor to come.
After examination by a physician, psychological counseling may be necessary. Several alternatives are available in the Roaring Fork Valley. Touchstone Mental Health Clinic and Aspen Valley Visiting Nurses Association handle some cases, but most are referred to the Open Door. A crisis center, the Open Door has trained personnel on call 24 hours a day. Some problems can be handled by phone. Sopris Mental Health Clinic in Glenwood Springs has a toll-free hotline open 24 hours a day. The number is 1-800-332-6804. During the past few months, the Aspen Police Department has initiated a rape prevention and officer training program. We asked Detective Michael Chandler to discuss sexual assault in Aspen and the recent public seminar sponsored by the APD.
As far as the program that we presented, I think it was very worthwhile. Of course, I may be somewhat biased because I'm the person that organized it. But the whole goal of the program was just to provide Aspen's women with some different viewpoints on what they should do should they ever be a victim of a sexual assault. And there was a controversy that developed, but irregardless of the controversy, a lot of information was pumped out, and hopefully now Aspen's women will be able to make an intelligent decision should they ever be confronted in a sexual assault.
What prompted the seminar? Was it a growing problem in Aspen?
Hello, Michael. Well, you'll never be able to determine how many rapes there are anywhere because many women are afraid to report the incident. It was so debasing, they just don't want to have anything else to do with it. It was a horrible experience, and of course it is. So they say rather than go to the police and prolong the experience by reiterating it, I'm just not going to tell anybody. Some of the rape crisis centers in the United States have come up with statistics that 70% of all rapes go unreported. Many rapes are I'd say even more rapes than stranger to stranger. Many rapes are a father raping a daughter or an uncle raping a little boy or something like that. So, of course, a lot of times people definitely don't want to report that. So it's difficult to determine how many rapes there are. The reason we did it anyway is because the police department is starting a crime prevention effort because all of our officers and the chief, supervisors, whomever, are really concerned about helping people before they need help, rather than we'll just take the old bike theft report and that's what we do during the day. We want to help people, and we found the best way to do it is, okay, I've never been sexually assaulted, but here's some information to make sure that if it does happen, maybe the act won't be completed, or at least you won't be hurt in the commission. So we're interested in helping people. That's the reason we started the program.
Patrolman Robert Benawait talks about the public attitude toward rape.
Well, it's been our experience through most of our work that public apathy is our biggest problem. If we had everybody excited about every program we came up with, crime in itself would be non-existent. I think it's been our attempt all along to be able to talk about rape and how it can be curbed and how it can be prevented. And we're quite open to any female approaching us and giving her all the guidelines she wants. It's pretty much the practice of the patrol officers that they'll stop female hitchhikers. And if they're going a short distance, we'll give them a ride to their destination. At the same time, try and give them a little insight as to what's going on. Especially in terms of where it's happened before, and we see a girl hitchhiking in that area. I think that has a real strong impact if you say, you know, what I'd like to do is talk to you about what you're opening yourself up for, and if you think it can't happen, it's happened right here.
Where?
Well, for instance, we've had a rape that occurred on Mill Street in the area of Caps Auto. We watched that real heavily because in the time around 2 o'clock in the morning and 2:30, barmaids, waitresses, even girls that are just out by themselves at night are walking back to Silver King. It's an open opportunity. That's a beautiful situation. Another area that we haven't had a rape occur, but it could be potentially dangerous, is in the Aspen Meadows area. There's a great big open field there. They're empty buildings. We see a girl even on Main Street. You know, my reaction, or how I approach her, is to say, you know, what's in your mind while you're hitchhiking? What are you thinking about? Are you cognizant of what kind of car picks you up? Did you get the license number? What measures do you take once you're inside the car to give you an avenue of escape? That type of thing. Most girls will tell you quite bluntly, you know, I never gave it any thought. I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. And it's frustrating. It's real frustrating, because there are some girls that don't even want to talk to you about it. It's just not going to happen, and they feel that if they put themselves in a state of paranoia, so to speak, of worrying about it all the time, then then it might present itself. But if they're not worried about it, then possibly it won't.
Well, I've never lived in a huge city. I lived in Denver for a while, but I know that some people who are brought up and schooled in a big city, like, say, New York, they develop a strong degree of street sense, where it just doesn't make any sense to walk by yourself down this area of town. You're just going to ask for it. Here in Aspen, because a lot of people flee that type of city to seek somewhat of a Shangri-La type of environment, which a lot of people think Aspen is, and it is a great town. They say, well, it could never happen to me. Doesn't matter if it's sexual assault or ski theft or bike theft or burglary. A lot of people are of the attitude, it'll never happen to me. We don't have any crime here in Aspen. Unfortunately, Aspen and Pitkin County have the highest crime rate per capita in the entire state. We exceed Denver's by something like 42%. We're number one. This is Crime City, baby.
We hope this program has been informative and successful in presenting facts without statistics. The program was produced in response to the growing awareness of sexual assault in Aspen.